I may have to eat my words on this one because can't cast you because you got too Mexican of a last name. Bitch, I'm Cuban. Oh my god, not me freaking the fuck out, and I haven't even like finished the first chapter. Let's see. Oh no. Like so it is the next episode of me versus BookTube. Okay, BookTube, let's fight. What's up everybody, I'm Jessica Nicole Dickerson, aka J&D, and welcome back to another video. So this is the next episode in my series, me versus BookTube. Me tackling all the very hyped books of BookTube, seeing if I like them. God. If you missed my last episode, I read Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda and had many a thoughts. So go watch that first before watching this one. In today's video, we will be reading, what's it called again? The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Wow, I almost completely forgot the name of that book. Yes, I'm finally going to read it. First of all, I've been terrified to read this because I think I already know the major plot twist, so spoiler alert from this point on. I know most people have read this book. If you're interested to hear my thoughts before maybe reading it, or you've already read it and want to know, like, I have warned you, so there are spoilers. Okay, you ready? I think I know the ending of this story already, and basically I think the girl who's interviewing Evelyn Hugo is the kid, her kid, and that's why she picked her to do this story. I read the synopsis and it's like, Evelyn Hugo marries or divorces 7 husbands or yada yada, and she decides to share her whole life story at the end of her career and tells this one girl randomly her whole life story. And to me, that's just a red flag of like, obviously that's her kid or someone of importance. I automatically think kid. And secondly, like the 7 husbands, it's like, I'm pretty sure it's a gay book. And maybe that's why she had so many husbands. I think she's queer as hell. And yeah. So I don't know exactly why so many people love this book. The writing, the storytelling, some about this book makes it super popular. I looked on BookTube, everyone and their mothers read this and they all rave about it. I personally haven't seen anyone even say that they don't like it, but that's like everyone I feel like collectively likes this book, and I'm like, why? What I miss? What's happening? I don't know. So I'm finally going to dive in and see if I love it. I'm excited to see what the hype's about, like what's happening, but I'm also very concerned because I don't feel like I'm gonna enjoy it at all. I have zero faith. Yeah. Well, let's get into it. Let's torture myself for fun to put on the internet for no particular reason. Let's go. Whoa. Oh, and I figured this is a great time to talk about the fact that I know this book, Evelyn Hugo, is supposed to be Cuban American. I hope I'm not wrong. I believe I'm correct. I've heard a lot of people say that, so I hope I'm not wrong in stating that again. I'm also Cuban American. I'm black and Cuban. Mom was born in Cuba, so I figured it'd be a great time to highlight what's happening in Cuba, which is not funny or it's just not good. Obviously. So I'll leave some resources below if you don't know what's happening. Please inform yourself. Obviously, like I know a lot of my audience is American, but I know a lot of you guys are also in the UK and other places in the world. So just educate yourself, possibly donate to people who need it. There isn't much that we actively can do outside of the country besides uplift those voices who are struggling and give them a platform. So I'm linking down some resources below. Let's continue to uplift voices and people educate themselves on what's happening. Also, you know, being educated is sexy, right? It's entertaining to be informed, right? You're welcome, I've informed you. You probably already know. I haven't done anything probably. It's fine. Damn, my closet is always open. Okay, so the first thing I think we should do is judge the first sentence. I literally have no clue or expectations for like the first sentence or anything about this book. But let's listen. The introduction music to books are always so funny. Oh god, it's like sexy old Hollywood.
New York Tribune. Evelyn Hugo to auction off gowns. By Priya Amrit. March 2nd, 2017. Film legend and 60s it girl Evelyn Hugo has just announced that she will auction off 12 of her most memorable gowns through Christie's to raise money for breast cancer research.
Good for her. I will say, not enticed by that first sentence. Like, if you watch Simon versus the Homo sapiens, that was a fabulous first sentence. I mean, she's auctioning off her dresses. Cool. I think that's the other thing about this story. I know it's supposed to be like she was a Hollywood starlet. Like, she was big news. And, like, now it's, like, past her prime or whatever. So I feel like this book is going to give a lot of old Hollywood vibes. And I don't really think I care that much about old Hollywood vibes. Even though I'm an actor, which is just hilarious. Do I respect my elders? That's the real question. And I think we all know the answer. Only kind of. Now I'm not excited. I love playing this game of reacting to the first sentence just because I feel like it's always just very, like, just fun to be like, did that first sentence entice you? Or did it just leave you like, why am I reading this book? Because that's how I feel right now. Why am I reading this book? But because of Simon, we can't always trust the first sentences, you know what I mean? Stay tuned to figure out what happens. Okay, now I'm gonna keep reading. Well, actually, I'm lying. I'm gonna watch a little bit of YouTube, and then I'm gonna keep reading. I just realized my outfit kind of matches Evelyn Hugo's aesthetic. Ooh. Yeah, we'll see. I might actually like this because I like acting and I like stories about people pursuing acting. So I'm very interested to see. Oh no. In the industry, you know what I mean? All the guys being icky. What happened? What if something happened to Evelyn Hugo and she had a kid and she had to hide it? Oh, like, just the possibilities are very sad. So I'm interested to see. Like, the synopsis is interesting. But we'll see if I like the writing style. I guess that's my qualm. Do I have qualms? I don't care. Oh my god, not me freaking the fuck out. And I haven't even, like, finished the first chapter. And my battery's dying. I'm in the kitchen vlogging. Look at that. And my battery's dead. I'm gonna go fix that. But I'm freaking out. Okay, new battery. And I'm always weirded out filming in public spaces because I don't want to force my roommates to be in things they don't want to be in. Like a booktube channel. I feel like not everyone's for that, but I'm freaking out because it's literally the first chapter. We're getting the environment, we're understanding Monique's work position at this journalism magazine place, and we just got a description of the boss who is tall and has an afro, and how Monique says she really looks up to, like, this person because it's like a black woman running it, and she's like, yeah, and I'm just like, that's how I feel. I'm so excited. I feel the exact same way when I see women of color in power. I'm, like, empowered myself, and that's why, like, representation is important. You don't think you can do something until you see other people do it. That's why we have role models. So, freaking out because that was really exciting to see in, like, literally the first few chapters. I also like the fact that Evelyn, her parents are Cuban immigrants. Like, she's fully Cuban. That was really cool. I thought she'd only be, like, Cuban American-ish, like me, but nah, she's, like, full Cuban, which I appreciate. I'm gonna go make my dinner now and stop rambling. Damn. First of all, I made my dinner, which you saw. Basically just a giant ass salad and the fish. A little bit of protein. But I've had a lot of carbs today, so I didn't want any more pasta or anything too heavy. I may have to eat my words on this one because the writing, everything, I almost kind of wish I bought a physical copy of this book. I literally might just order one on Amazon because it's $7. Or I can check and see if it's available on any sites, like, you know, when they sell used books or whatever. But I was gonna say that I really like the passage where the, like, anime reporter is trashing Monique because of, like, why would they pick her? And then I like that we get to see the comments of all of her like, subscribers, or, like, all of her followers, their reply to her article about how her brows and how beautiful Evelyn Hugo is, and oh my god. And there was a girl who's like, girl, why are you talking about her eyebrows? Like, what? So I loved the elements. It looks like this journalist is really upset with Monique getting the, you know, the assignment, and she's coming for her. And on top of that, like, Monique's getting into, like, talking about her feelings about her recent divorce, how they didn't even make it into their first year of their marriage, now that she's obsessing about work, and Evelyn Hugo kind of falling in love. Like, all these little elements are really freaking cool. I'm really freaking enjoying my time. I may have to eat my words. I still think Evelyn Hugo somehow is Monique's mom. Pretty sure that's like the twist of like why we need Monique to tell the story. I feel like there's something there. But yeah, I'm loving it. Like, it's really, I'm very impressed. We'll see if this continues. Is it worth the hype? Can we trust BookTube? I have not been able to trust too many of BookTube's hyped popular, like, you know, book things. Like, I'm like, okay, you want me to read that? Okay. But this one might be on something. Hey, Editing Jess popping in here to talk about my Patreon offer that ends this Sunday, August 8th. So after August 8th, you won't be able to get this sticker anymore. I made a sticker and I'm so proud. It is available on my Patreon if you join the Sunshine tier. So make sure, if you have the availability to, like if you want to subscribe to the Patreon, you can always end it if you want. But yeah, this special offer, I'm sending out stickers and little notes, little handwritten notes to y'all, and I'm so excited. And the buddy read for August on the Patreon will be Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. There's lots of exciting things going on the Patreon, so definitely go check it out. Pretty please. It's a very fun and positive place, and I'd love to see you there. And you'll get a sticker. And this may not be the only time I do special offers like this on my Patreon, so if you don't want to miss out, go subscribe. Go check it out. Go do the thing. Hey, Editing Jess. Oh, I made that so awkward. I took a shower and back to reading. I'm only on chapter 6 and I'm wow. Just wow. So she was just talking about her first like kind of sexual experiences, Evelyn Hugo growing up, her developing really early at 13 and how guys were looking at her, raping her, and yada yada yada, giving me all the Poet X vibes. You know, when you call like a girl fast, like when she's fast, it's so funny because we always blame women for like growing up and developing very natural things like boobs and they're blamed and they're like sexualized by other people. So it's very interesting, very much Poet X vibes. But I also really liked, she's definitely gay. I don't know what kind of gay, we're gonna figure that out together, but she's like, I don't need guys. But I really like the way that she conveyed her feelings of needing to please other guys. One, because power, like guys have the power over women because they are either bigger in stature, whatever. They just tend to have the power in some relationships, not all, but it's in my life I've noticed that. So when a guy likes you, you kind of give into it, where it's like, okay. And how she talked about how she was both relieved that this guy she was kind of with, like doing things with, hooking up with, that she was relieved when he finally left, but also like felt deep failure. And I'm like, me too. Because it's so funny because she's like, yeah, I don't need guys. I've learned that, and I like know my body well. And I'm like, I've always felt that way, where it's like, yeah, I've never had a need for anybody, but I always in a relationship be like throwing myself like a crazy person, like, yeah, I want to be loved, and then I feel deep failure when it doesn't work out. So just, I loved it. I loved it. I also like how then she finally learned to kind of use her sexuality and her body as kind of a tool. Like I'm not like, that sounds really bad, but hey, if like people are gonna use you and demand things of you, you're gonna pick and choose what it's gonna be for, you know. And I kind of like how really feminist this book is, because that's a lot of the dialogue between the two characters, Monique and Evelyn, talking about, yeah, demand the same pay that a white man would get, or that you need to take things from life, that life will never give you anything. Very interesting. Very like, I feel like this is a book that I would want to annotate, honestly. Oh god. Like, I'm happy, but I'm like, now like I'm wondering what are gonna be the twists and turns, man. I'm so excited. If Evelyn Hugo ends up being aromantic or asexual, I'm gonna freak the fuck out. I really am. I really am. Like, I think she's gonna be lesbian because she specifically said that she doesn't need men to make her happy, which is a little odd because she had 7 husbands, but then at the same time it makes sense, because if she literally found out at the age of 13 that she needs to use men to be able to succeed in life, to get out of an abusive relationship with her dad and get out from being impoverished and things like that, kind of makes sense why she would use that to her abilities and use men. So I'm assuming the person she was in love with was probably a lady. So many questions. New location. Oh my god, it looks so greasy. It's just my skincare. I think it's so funny that back in the day when it came to like breaking out in Hollywood, that you could just, you know, be a waitress and like be stunning and then someone's gonna put you in their feature. That is crazy to me. Like, I'm over here like auditioning left and right. I know people who audition for years, tens of years, gorgeous people, like no matter your gender, gorgeous, and it's just like it takes years. So it's so funny that she went to Hollywood. She's like 17 and she's like super stunning and gorgeous, and then they're like, you're it, baby girl, whatever the accent is of the time. Hilarious. I mean, good for her. And I'm pretty sure that's probably what happened to a lot of the like old Hollywood starlets, is that they would just move to Hollywood and be stunning and like rock the boo-boos, you know what I mean. But yeah, I'm interested to see how she learns to act, if she just learns as she goes. She said she can't act out of a paper bag, which is very funny and so accurate for a lot of beginning actors being like, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know. I'm interested to see her journey, how she learns. Ew, them saying that being Mexican and Cuban is the same difference. Disgust. The racism so high. Can't cast you because you got too Mexican of a last name. Bitch, I'm Cuban. I have a fat headache. So unrelated to the book, but I'm on chapter 18. So I have about 8 hours left, listening at 2 times speed. So I don't know how far into this. I was about to try and give you some like, I have X amount of percent left, but it's too late to do any of that kind of math. It's midnight. I am still very much enjoying the story. I think we are just at the cusp of realizing or talking about Evelyn's sexuality. Oh. Again, another warning for spoilers. I assume most people have read this book, but that might be incorrect of me. You may be interested in spoilers even if you haven't read it, just in case you're like me and you want to know the details, the little nitty-gritties. I really love that this book is like super scandalous, and obviously like old Hollywood, people getting married to like ugly people dating for like, you know, the cameras, the like faking it, trying to make it in Hollywood by dating people and like networking, manipulation. It's interesting, but I'm really liking Evelyn's character and the fact that she manipulates and uses people, but she's honest about it, and that she I don't know, she's just a very empowered woman, and I think it's very cool. But yeah, I think we're on the cusp of talking about her sexuality now, and I'm very much looking forward to it. And lastly, another comment that I really loved was that she was talking about how charming girls shouldn't like pity pretty girls in a sense, or like be too envious, because the thing is, it sucks, or it's not great to be loved for something you didn't do. Like being admired for your looks has nothing to do with who you are and your character, and people think, well, your life's easy because you look good. And pretty privilege is a thing, but you like, it's also like skewed to the point of like, do people actually like you because of who you are? Are they only around you because of your body, or do guys only want you for your body? Like, I truly think God did me right by not giving me boobs. I couldn't imagine the amount of attention women get for their chest is just crazy. So I think, you know, I dodged a bullet, and like, I mean, every woman should love themselves for who they are, but it's definitely weird to grow up in a world where something you have no control over can add value to you. Ain't that nuts? It's like, it's just boobies. I mean, I guess boobies are fun or cool or whatever, but like, as an asexual, I really have no preference. Crazy. Oh yeah, I'm eating dried ramen because I'm an adult. It's midnight. I should probably go to bed. I'm very tired. I'm gonna keep reading though. If I had waited like 2 seconds, they would have revealed her sexuality. I'm not a patient soul. But it was so great because she says with this big dramatic flair, like, the greatest love of my life was Cecilia. And for some reason, Monique turns to her, she goes, so you're gay? So you're a lesbian? And Evelyn's just like, Let me close my eyes and collect myself, you bitch. No, I'm bi. She doesn't say it like that, but that's the energy I feel like I would be giving for Evelyn. Just like, shut the fuck up. I just said that I love this guy and that I loved her. So obviously I go both ways. It was very funny. I love that. Also a conversation about bi erasure, which is so important. I appreciate it. Okay, it's actually been a few days, so it's time to wrap up this video. I am gonna give my thorough thoughts on The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo because I'm both impressed and a little disappointed, if I do say so, just because, and this is the thing about hyped books, and this is why I'm doing this series in general. When you hear someone hype up a book and be like, oh my god, like, this is the best, you need to read it, and you pick it up and it's not the best, you're kind of like extra bummed out. Whereas if you pick up a book thinking it's like, okay, it's gonna be a decent, okay book, and you pick it up and it's better than what you thought and you're excited. So I think that's the thing. I think people picked up The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and were not expecting much, and then it's like, wow, this is amazing, like not what they expected. But since now so many people have been saying that it's amazing when they pick it up, it's like, it's good. Like, don't get me wrong, I am impressed by a lot of facets of this story, but there's some parts of it where I was just underwhelmed, and I'm gonna get into it, so maybe you can determine whether or not you want to read it, or I don't know, maybe you just feel the same way I do, where it's like when it comes to really popular books, you're still hoping to find a new favorite, but more times than not you don't find a new favorite. I feel like the only book that's ever done that for me is Strange the Dreamer, where I picked it up and everyone was hyping it up and I was like, okay, let's see what this is about, and then I was like, okay, I see what you're about. I guess let me start off with the amazing points of this story. I don't really think the writing style was anything too special, but I will say the way that Evelyn's life unfolded was super interesting and captivating. I really wanted to figure out the longevity of the story, the game she was playing. I think what makes this book the most interesting is Evelyn Hugo's character. She's by far the most interesting, the most complex. She is such an interesting representation of women, especially during that time period, being a queer woman. The power she had, the conviction she had, the confidence she had, it's just amazing to see, because a lot of people will just call her a bitch and like call it a day, being like, oh, she demands like to have well-paying jobs and to for people to respect her and all this stuff. It's like, yeah, I get like that's not like the most profound thought, but it's really cool to still see it on the page. Someone who would be classified as a bitch being kind of represented as someone who is powerful, capable, and just demands like common decency in a sense. Like, yeah, she had moments where she was like wasteful with her money and stuff in her youth, but I also really like the conversation of wealth and what you think you want from life, and then realizing like life is too short to be like playing like chase and trying to climb the ladder and all that stuff. That sometimes what's important in life is the people you surround yourself with and the memories you get to cherish, because you know that shit's fleeting. Next thing you know, you're 79, everyone's dead around you, like, and you just wish you had more time with the people you love. So I thought that was all just a very interesting story, and all whilst her being this like really cool feminist icon, demanding more from people, demanding respect from people. I also appreciate that Evelyn was playing the game. She was coercing the media to tell a very specific narrative, and I don't think people realize that we do that nowadays. Like, everything, social media is all fake and manufactured to convey an image, especially for people who are wealthy and have the resources, like the Kardashians. They obviously will only allow out what they want to keep their image intact and to keep our perception of them to a very specific perception. So it's interesting to see, because you think poorly of those women because of like how they may influence media and body and beauty standards and things like that. But I think Evelyn as a character does it in an interesting way, because she's not coercing people because she cares, well, she does care about her image, actually. She really does, to the extent of regretting it in the long run. But she cares so much about her image because she wants to keep working. She wants to still be a working woman, even into her 30s and 40s. She's like, I still want to be a badass sexual like icon. Like, that's who I am as a person, Evelyn. But there's just so many facets to her that were really interesting. How feminist she was, how she was playing the game. To digress, this whole thing, Evelyn Hugo is a very interesting character, and I think that is just the most interesting part of the book. And also the talk about bi-erasure, and how even back in the day, especially back in the day, people were like, you're lesbian or you're gay or you're straight. There's no other category. So it was lots of interesting conversations. But let's talk about what I did not enjoy as much. And it's two facets. First facet, Monique to me as a character was not compelling. I really just saw her as a tool to like illustrate Evelyn's life. She would ask questions, Evelyn would go on tangents answering them. I did not live for Monique's part in the story. She felt like a tool to be used to tell a story, someone else's story. And it's funny because that's literally the story. It's like she's telling Evelyn's story. As a journalist, she's like gonna make her autobiography. So it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, I feel like Evelyn got so much complexity, whereas Monique had this one-off complexity thing. So again, we're gonna get into spoilers, but Monique's whole thing, I'm so sad she didn't end up being the kid of Evelyn Hugo. That would have been so interesting, but also predictable, so I guess. I did not predict that the whole reason why Monique's dad died is because of Evelyn Hugo. That was the big turning point. And Monique was upset for all of like 5 minutes, and then she kind of realized that she liked Evelyn Hugo and respected her and like wished her well. So it didn't really last long, and like the anticipation of like, I feel like there was some sentences at the beginning where it was like, I didn't know I'd end up hating Evelyn Hugo as much as I did, and we'd continue on in the story and you're like, why does she hate her? What's going on? And I feel like the animosity she felt for Evelyn Hugo did not last long enough to actually deem a whole book. Like, Monique's story it was just so short-lived, in my opinion. It was like, I'm mad, I'm not. I respect her, I don't. I learned a lot of lessons from her. Now I'm a confident woman. It was just super fast. I understand she didn't get as much page time as Evelyn Hugo, but I think it was just a missed opportunity because I did not care for Monique. I think at first it was really cool to hear about a like mixed woman and her learning her place in power and demanding more for herself. It was cool, but it was short-lived. All those moments were small and fleeting. Monique was not a big part of the story, and I kind of wish she was, because if the whole point is to have this explosive ending, I need to care about her, and quite frankly, I didn't care for her. And I think that was a big takeaway of the story, because when the explosive twist happened, you're the reason why my dad died. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't care. Her whole divorce that she was having this whole time, I didn't care. I think it did make a great point about divorces in general, about marriage, how people look at marriage as like, I don't want to fail, I want this to work out, I need this to work out, instead of just like, are you in love? Are you in like, at least? Like, not thinking marriage is something that you succeed in. Marriage shouldn't be a success. Marriage should be a union, a friendship, teamwork. It's so interesting. That was really cool, but I also think we got a lot of that through Evelyn's relationships and her 7 husbands. Yeah, so that was one part that I didn't like. The second aspect I didn't like was the compelling argument that Monique's previous article was talking about, how the whole concept of dignity in death, that people who are struggling and suffering deserve to want to end their lives early because of, you know, cancer or whatever issues it may be. She had an article that she previously published about this kind of argument, the dignity in death. And it was a big turning point as to why Evelyn chose her to write this autobiography, because she's gonna commit suicide. Big spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. So I feel like, though interesting, what an interesting concept. I think this is something maybe we could talk about in life in general, when people are 80 years old, dying alone not living a good life anymore. Dignity and death. Interesting conversation. I feel like, though, we really didn't see it in the book. It was mentioned about this article. It was mentioned that it was a very good article, enough to persuade the Evelyn Hugo. But I didn't see it. And I feel like if we're going to talk about this stuff and we're going to have a character do this kind of dignified death, I would love to see like the reason and rationales for it, because I feel like it is taboo in our culture. We don't talk about it. So I kind of wish, the same way this story talked a lot about femininity and sexuality and sensualness in such interesting raw ways, I really wish we kind of talked about death and things like that in a more, I wish it, not complexity, but more reality to it. I feel like there was a missed opportunity. We just kind of skipped over, and it's like, okay, now the queen, the heiress is gone. So yeah, I feel like huge missed opportunity in that, the dignified death conversation, because there is a conversation around it. I can totally understand why people are not for it and why people are for it, and I just feel like we didn't even talk about for or against, which makes sense. I guess it's a personal choice, but as a reader, as an adult reader, it would have been really cool to dive into this, because this is an adult book. They talk about sex, they talk about marriage, divorce, cheating, murder. There's a bloody accident in this. Lots of things. This book talks a lot about so many things that are real in life, and I feel like we didn't get to talk about the dignified death at all. It was just an assumption that Monique understood it and gave it a great interpretation, which we never really heard, and then Evelyn wanted to do it. And I'm like, okay, but like, why? Let's see it. Let's talk. It was more just accepted, and she faded into the background respectfully and classy like, and I'm like, I don't know. I think that was a missed opportunity. I'm rambling at this point, but I hope you enjoyed my interpretation of this. I do think, was this a success? Is this a new favorite? I don't think this is a new favorite because of those 2 points. Monique's whole point of view to me was so lackluster that this can't be a 5-star, because I was a little disappointed in that, because I think that was a character that I really wanted to see myself in, because Evelyn, what a complex character, but she is not me. I feel like Monique is us. We are the people who look onto the icons and see what they're doing and are amazed by what they do, and they inspire us to be more confident in ourselves and stuff. We are the Moniques of the world. I hope. You might be an Evelyn. I might become an Evelyn in my future. Who knows? But I feel like we're the Moniques, and I feel like I was a little let down because of that storyline. So I think this is a 4-star. And again, I feel like when it comes to hyped books, it's just, you have to be careful. I feel like most of them, I think people will like them. I liked Evelyn Hugo. I think I want to copy it and I want to reread it and annotate it, because I think there were some real classy quotes in there that were like, chef's kiss. But I don't think, because of like how I feel, how I've told you about the 2 parts that I didn't like, that it's just not a new favorite of mine. It's not an all-time favorite, but I think I will think about it for a very long time. So, and that's why I think this is a fun challenge to do. Let's read some hyped books and see where I stand on them, so that way I understand myself as a reader compared to other readers. It's a fun game to play. So far, I'm like not trusting BookTube is where I'm at, because, you know, with Chloe, Get a Life, Chloe Brown, if you haven't watched that video, go watch it. Again, a 4-star book. Well, I won't spoil what I think about Get a Life, Chloe Brown, but it's one of those really, really, really popularized books that I was like, not for me. And same for Simon versus the Homo sapiens, but I think most people agree with me on that one. So I'm interested to see, how do you guys feel about this? I would love to know in the comments. Was it a all-time favorite of yours? I feel like for most people it became an all-time favorite. That Taylor Jenkins Reid is now an author they want to explore more. And I personally don't know if her other stories really entice me in any way. But yeah, if you made it to the end of this video, comment down below this. So that way I know you are the real MVP. And I'm doing a special right now on my Patreon that if you join in the month of It's like from the end of July to the end, like mid of August. I'll put the dates here. If you join my top tier, my sunshine tier, you get a free sticker and a handwritten note from me. So I hope you join, and you get access to all the past videos I've ever filmed on my Patreon, in addition to some exclusive reading vlogs where I'm reading like Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. And I know in September I'm going to be reading Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. So there's a lot of exciting stuff there, so you should check it out if you like this video and if you want extra content. But no pressure. No pressure. I'm just saying, it'd be cool because I like the sticker I made. You should join. Maybe, I don't know. Well, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope it brought you a little sunshine, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Comment below what book I should read next for this series. Can we trust BookTube? I really do want to find a book that I full on give 5 stars. That would be really cool. Like, yeah, I agree with BookTube. Yeah. One day. It's gonna happen, I swear. It's gonna happen.